Shabbat shalom, everybody. Red, you is no good.
Me?
Shabbat shalom, Coach.
Burn them all, yeah. Blaze them, oh, 'cause I will never see, and I will never stop burning these fires non-stop. Yeah, oh, yeah. Alright. All the leaders, them will let the people down. Have them holding on to throwing them a drown. And the leaders, them will let the people down. They always make the people wear a frown. And the leaders, them will let the people down. Them trying to blame it on the dancehall and the artists and the sound. We got it to let the people down. Then ask the gate to use them on my sound. Yo, Babylon a speak them words, but we no love how them sound. Cause them see them wanna turn it in a gun town. No forget to you them turn in a gun clown. Gunshot a tear off them head crown. Well, every other day and next body them found. Well, in and them own a blood, missy said them drown. Who them boy I really want them to drown.
Shabbat shalom, sus.
See you live and in a place to be.
Okay.
Can you hear us okay? Hallelujah. Give us a 7 if our volume is good.
We can be heard.
Shabbat shalom, y'all.
Hey, Shabbat shalom, sus.
How was your week, sis? Better than last week, I pray.
It was better. Yes, it was better. Thank you.
Hallelujah.
How about y'all?
We still here, sis. We is still here. Hallelujah.
Look, it's one day at a time every week.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm usually a pretty optimistic individual. So I ain't saying it wasn't rough, but we here. So we get the thumbs up.
Okay. It was a battle. You know what I'm saying? It was a fight. But we here.
Shabbat shalom, Koti Kimmy. Shabbat shalom, Koti
Shabbat
Tasha.
shalom, Koti Tasha, Koti Kimmy.
Hey, baby, go ahead. Hopefully they won't call my name or during my.
Huh?
Shabbat shalom, Koti Christine.
Welcome.
Shabbat shalom.
How you
How's
been?
it going?
Pretty good, sis. We hanging in.
Good.
Can't complain.
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
And then if we did, who would listen? Who would care?
Won't do any good anyway.
It won't do no good. It won't do no good.
So, an official welcome to our channel again, and welcome to this edition of our Studying Scriptures series, where we just read through scriptures from Genesis to Revelations. The reason we do that, for anybody that doesn't know, is because there's a lot of food and there's a lot of bones on YouTube and in the atmosphere online. And one of the things that Rib and I encouraged people to do, because God put it on our hearts to do it as well, is to simply read your scriptures from Genesis to Revelations. That way you have a good, solid foundation. If you read with understanding, you pray for discernment while you're reading, you have a good, solid foundation of your history and of Bible concepts. You have a linear understanding of the history and what happened. And that way, when you begin to listen to people's theories or studies or whatever, and they say something that is not what you read, you can catch it. You can defend yourself, right? And so we had a lot of people speaking to us about how difficult it is just to get started. And then once they did start, how to push through it. And
a lot of people don't make it to the table of nations.
Yeah.
You know, so-and-so begot so-and-so, and so-and-so begot so-and-so.
Right.
So they're just like, I can't make it through.
And so we have people asking if we could do it. And we said, okay, may take 20 years, but we'll do what we can. So that's what this is. We're just simply reading through scriptures and discussing the things that Yah gave us in our study and in our read through with you guys, and also open it up for input and discussion. So welcome again, everybody that's joining us on YouTube. Welcome again, everybody who's joining us in the live. If you don't know by now, I'm Aki Shlomo. I'm joined by my beautiful Isha.
Country Griot.
We're gonna give a few minutes and let people trickle on in.
Y'all follow Thoughts Camera Action, don't you? Thoughts Camera Action. Y'all follow them on. Man, they had a live this morning. I don't know if it was a live or if it was a previously recorded, but my goodness, they went into how the church has been using hypnotism in the form of speaking in tongues and shouting. Oh my gosh.
I bet.
They blew my mind this morning. I'm sitting here bewildered. I ain't moved from this couch yet.
You remember that Aqua was telling you about, sis, who did that breakdown when he did the that breakdown on church, and he was comparing like some of the words they were saying when they start speaking in tongues to that voodoo ritual.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
some of the Haitian
voodoo, and they he showed a video of this Haitian woman. She was going through this, and she was speaking in tongues, and she was doing this Santeria thing, and she was saying she was uttering, and then he showed like this church clip, and they was uttering the same words, girl, the same words.
And it's crazy. It's crazy because when you read about them receiving the Ruach in the New Testament, it says, and they spoke other tongues, as in they spoke different languages that they could understand each other in.
Yes.
Where they get this mess from? And I'm thinking, like, if it's another language, surely someone else will be able to interpret it. And somebody somewhere know what you're saying.
Right,
and then to watch this quote unquote lay hands on this girl, and her eyes rolled to the back of her head, and she started to jerk like she was possessed. Like, I don't know. I think I better stop playing with these folks because it ain't what it is. It's just not what it is.
Right.
Yep.
And
even that organ, that tune, that organ, that dun 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 dun, and he played in that, dun 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 dun. You know what I'm saying? Even the tune, the organ, and the drums, man, they be putting people in trances. They do.
And the music. They use the music and how the pastor walks back and forth on the stage, kind of like how they used to dangle the pendulum. Come on now.
You remember that scene?
Come on now,
Tyrone.
Yes, and Get Out. How she was sitting there stirring the spoon, and she had my buddy locked up. I'm like, man, these put it in our face, and we just
real in the field. It's real in the field.
Crazy.
I'm glad you brought up Thoughts Camera Action because I was thinking yesterday about some of the other channels that we watch sometimes. Just to give a shout out because I know people want it sometimes. So Thoughts Camera Action is one of the ones that we check out sometimes. Her more than me. I'm just being honest. But I residual.
I'm a fan.
I guess it's
I'm a fan. He be going in. I love it, man. He be going in.
Redirecting. She was checking out something from Redirecting. That's Deborah. We used to check out Watchmen and Deborah back in the day, a little bit
Mr.
more.
Hebrew, but YouTube done ran him off. They ran off Mr. Hebrew. Shadow Paradise. Yep, I do Shadow Paradise.
Shadow Paradise now. Yeah. I still listen to and let me preface this by saying, as I mentioned in these people, it's not that we agree with everything that they say or everything that they believe about this walk, but I like the fact, and I want to encourage that I know other people out here doing the same thing we're doing, and have been doing it longer than us even. And it's okay to, to hear what other people have as far as their input. I check out Kingdom Harbinger, and that's one that I check out more than her. I used to check out, Ricard, LCC. I used to check out what's my other boy?
Sometimes I do
on the East Coast.
The little one you like, I forget.
Zabak. I used to check out Zabak.
Sometimes I do. GLCC got a few studies that I have listened to and took notes on because they was just good studies. I mean, with anybody, some IUICK. I mean, not IUICK. IUIC. They got a few studies that I've followed along with. Sometimes you just like you chew the meat, right? Spit out the bones. You take if Abiyah can open the mouth of a mule and have a mule speak wisdom to a man, Abiyah can speak to anybody, and you just
Swords of Zion was a good one.
I like
Check out Swords of Zion.
Yeah, he haven't did that in a while, but I liked him.
What was the name of their crew before they split up? If you ever find any of their old studies.
Oh yeah, they studies was fire. What was the name of their crew before they? Quab. It was Quab and
Shofar.
and Shofar.
Yeah.
What was the name of their crew? I forget the name, but they split up. But man, before they split up, they was fire. They used to go out on the street and you know what I'm saying? They was fire.
Still like Benaya's videos.
Benaya, yep, I like Benaya.
Yeah. Truth Unedited.
Oh, Yona. Yeah, I like Yona.
I've been checking out Truth Unedited recently. And again, Shabbat Shalom. Again, I'm saying this while saying, I'm not saying we agree with everything they say. But yeah, Truth Unedited.
Yeah, I like Truth
That's
Unedited.
some good stuff. Yeah, so man, big ups to all of them doing the work, because that's all it is. And again, I think that the more people who are putting good content out there, the easier it is as people are trying to come into and find the truth. They have good places to start their journey.
Yeah,
with plenty of content.
If you know that it's one body being built, and you can kind of Shabbat Shalom, House of Dawid. And you can kind of like matrix, try to avoid, somebody trying to pull you, just like, some of the warning signs is when, somebody starts telling you don't listen to other brews and don't, study with other brews. And if you ain't with us, you wicked. And you know what I'm saying? Like, all those things are warning signs, and it's a manipulation in which, you got somebody trying to hoard you, for their own vanity purposes. Like, I'm the leader of men. I call it the Moses complex, but this one here got on me early this morning.
It's you talking about factions, right? Yeah. So we were just talking with the children about the lust of the flesh, and so one of the lusts of the flesh is factions, and a faction, according to what was being discussed, is a dividing of the body, like we were saying. So you dividing the body, saying that because you're, say, GOCC for an example, that means IUIC is not part of the body, and and that's exactly what that is. Now look, GOCC got some issues. IUIC got some issues.
We got some issues.
But if they're part of the body and they have some issues, that means the body has ailments and illness, which is a fact. That is where we are in prophecy right now. The body has some issues. You can't say they're not part of the body just because they got some issues. No, they're part of the body, but the body got some issues. That's just where we at.
Yeah, the body need to, the Messiah need to, the Messiah is working on his body. He working on his body, and it is what it is. And I pray we can pull through. We
got some issues. Let me not.
We all got issues.
Pretend like that's not a fact. We got some issues as well.
Even with my fringes on, I'm a mess. Even with my fringes on. Even with my fringes on.
The healing in process.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
It's real.
Again, that's why the fellowship is good. Again, because we get to deal with one another, and hold a mirror up, and not just even in the group setting, but even in your own household. Having a good counterpart to call you on your BS.
Well, I do my job. You do your job.
You already have cut me off on that. I'm coming with it. Go, come on up to the mic.
No, I just wanted to add on to what I was talking about as far as like with the language, because Kosi Gabor was researching something this week about the name, and it's and how they and how it's in a strong coordinates and stuff like that, and even with like the language, even the writing, as far as like how they're recording things now in the lexicon on the eSword. We was like searching all over because she had the coordinates for it, but then when she went back to look at it, it was different. So I was looking at like the hard prints that I had at home from the early 2000s and everything, and it had the name in there, but it didn't have like the definition next to it. And it's just like you said, like with the language and us understanding the language, even with like the written out words, they changing that as well, and that included in the language in the way they pronounce certain things and understanding, because you're trying to explain to somebody the meaning of Yahuwah and Yahushua, and you always want to show people like where it's at and proof of it.
Right.
And when you go back and you don't see it no more, and it like disappeared, and even like when we went back and we was talking about, we was going through the priesthood notes that we both had and comparing the priesthood notes, and we had the coordinates and everything. We was going back in and typing them, and they like really disappeared. They're not there no more, and it's not there no more. Like, and we just started the priesthood study maybe 6-7 months ago, and it's no longer there. And it just it was blowing our mind. I was looking at like my hard print copies and like my Bible dictionary, everything, and it has the name there. And even when I was looking into like the Paleo Hebrew and the ancient Hebrew lexicon that I have, it has the name there, but the definition is not there.
Wow.
And it's just like it just reminds me of like the language. It's like how it's just now everything is just disappearing.
Scripture say that's gonna happen though.
Yeah.
That's prophecy that there was gonna be a thirst.
When y'all were in grade school, were you guys ever required to read Fahrenheit 451? Is that it? 451? Were y'all ever required to read that?
I believe Fahrenheit, was that the numbers 451?
Yeah, Fahrenheit 451 is the temperature that paper burns, like for books.
Oh, okay.
So the book was about this dystopian future in which they were forced to burn books. Well, they ain't burning books no more, but something my father pointed out a while ago is go to your local library and see how many books are on the shelf. They're getting rid of books.
They're getting rid of books.
We are becoming so dependent on this, and this again, we were talking about that this morning, and this screen and your television and stuff like that.
Black matter.
We say if you're not saving it in a file, and if you don't have the physical copy of the book, it's hard to keep up with stuff. If you can, and I know it costs a little bit, get copies of the books that you find helpful or you find valuable. We spend our money on the things that we place value in, right? And if it's valuable to you, it's worth it. It's worth getting Strong's Concordance. You can buy an older edition that may still have those Strong's Hebrew, Strong's Greek Concordance, and it will be a nice parallel to your studies.
Y'all need to start. Let me tell you something, man. The stuff that they doing with this new internet they rolling out with this world ID. You know what I'm saying? They saying now because of the AI and the things that they could do with the AI, they saying now people gonna have to go on different sites and to do different things on your computer, like go to your bank and stuff. You're gonna have to prove that you a human. You're gonna have to scan your eye with this world ID retina. That's gonna have to scan your eye. So like just think on top of your laptop or whatever, when you go to,
most of you already have one. Yeah,
when you go to log into your bank, you're gonna have to lean over, scan your eye, and then you'll be able to log into it. And it's called the world ID. Man, let me tell you something, player. Let me tell you something. You got to be ready to walk away from this here, because we already know this thing is a beast. You know what I'm saying? But how far are we gonna go to be able to stay plugged in and to be able to stay, to this black matter? Y'all, we got to prepare ourselves to be able to walk away from this antimatter, this black matter called devices, this black screen.
House of Dawid said in Houston, they're turning high school libraries into detention centers.
Wow.
Okay. Well, I'll be honest with you. They was doing that when I was in high school too, high school and grade school. They
You
used
ain't even a
Maybe had
library
a
no more.
TikTok of, yep, a librarian had a whole TikTok of it. They had almost 5 different like tall barrels of books that they took out of the library that they deemed was unfit to teach. It was crazy, and I was like, oh my God, this is real.
I don't know
Like,
what they doing with the
when
school because they replacing them with books talking about some books step by step instructions on how two males can lay together.
Well, again, like you were talking about earlier, problem, reaction, solution. So to get everybody up in arms, and say this ain't right, let's get these books out of the schools. Where they're gonna remove them, but they're gonna also remove at the same time they remove those, all the books that they say are promoting what they refer to as CRT.
Yeah, Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass.
All of your We Hate America books and we don't want to be here books and all that. They're gonna remove all that at the same time in that same agenda, and it's gonna be because you asked them to. And I'm not saying it's okay to leave the other ones. I'm just saying that's what they're doing under the guise of hate speech. That's
Hey, Shabbat Shalom, Aki, Joey, and Akoti, Jessica.
Welcome.
How are y'all? Shabbat Shalom.
You said there's a country school district in Utah that banned the Bible altogether because of vulgar language and violence. I believe it.
I believe it too.
I believe it.
I believe
This whole concept that what's the term we were talking about last week? I wish I could remember it off the top of my head.
So saying right is wrong and wrong is right.
No. Anyway, I can't remember the term. I'll post it on the screen when I'm editing. But it's this idea that everything and everyone should be equal.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
No, you talking about the one you got from
you know the word?
The Najwa erosion or
no? I'll put it.
Okay.
So anyway, the term means that everyone should be equal, right? Mm-hmm. We should be equal economically. Men and women should be equal. All that. That just is not a biblical thing. This idea of everybody being able to do, first of all, whatever they want and the world be at peace, not happening. Can't happen. Because if it's not according, first of all, everybody doing what they want is going to naturally bring chaos.
Yeah.
Right? And then in the righteous order that Yah wants it to be, which if we want an image of how that looked, we look at David in his kingdom, when Yah said David was a man after his own heart. Well, guess what? David's hands were filled with blood. You know why? Because he said, I hate liars, thieves. I don't let any of these things come into the midst of this kingdom that is set apart, right? Which means if I got to off with his head somebody, that's what he had to do, right? And so this idea that, this was vulgar and there's violence, all of that's in there. All that's in there because it's our history. And it's also in there because there's some more violence coming. You can't get around it. And again, scripture says that our land will only be cleansed of the blood that was spilled in it by those who spilled that blood.
But let me tell you what, so we know that they passed a law where you can't say that a homosexual is going to hell for their homosexuality. Well, see, the Bible says that.
Right. So not saying it. You're saying that's what the Bible says.
The Bible says.
Okay. You heard that, you too?
And so now they've banned the Bible because the Bible said. So now the Bible is going against the law.
Yeah. So think about that though, also because once you go down this slope of saying the Bible is not accurate, think about where they keep giving you these things in the same spirit that they linked women's liberation with the civil rights movement. the same way that they're linking the LGBTQ movement with civil rights now. We're going to link these things together and remove this at the same time.
Oh yeah, they easing this
And
on us way.
Yeah, and at the same time we remove that, now we remove you from being who you are. We remove your history once again, and all that stuff, that pesky little stuff about, retribution coming on the earth and all, just swap all that on out the way at the same time.
How long before then, now you're going to have a burning of this. Now, let me tell you something. They're going to have to do, we live in the Bible Belt. They're going to have to do something severe to make these Southerners throw their Bibles in the flames.
Yeah, I ain't heard about it. They got to go through them before they get to us.
Man, let me tell you. These Southerners out of their cold, dead hands. You know what I'm saying? But, but the devil's so crafty. And he's so clever, man. Let me tell you something. I can remember as a kid reading about the mark of the beast and just thinking to myself, how are you going to, there's no way. Everybody's waiting for this. You're not going to be able to, and the scriptures say he's going to fool the whole world. I'm just thinking like, how could he possibly, man, please.
But that's another channel. And go to Latasha, you can go up to the mic. But that's another channel I like too, is Days of Noah. One of the things that he points out, and I like it, is that this is not going to be a one day it's like this, then they flop everything on you like that. No, we've already been systematically being moved in the direction of accepting these things gradually.
Oh yeah.
You've already accepted. You can't log on to the internet without your Gmail. Now you need a Gmail account or some kind of account to identify who you are as you surf the internet. You remember the days when you didn't do that?
Yeah, you can't buy a new computer. Like if you buy a new computer,
the setup process.
You have to be able to. You have to have a Microsoft account. You have to have, an account with your computer or your whatever program your computer running on.
Be some kind of techie.
Yep.
To go dark.
You
and then you're suspicious and on this.
Oh yeah. You know what I'm saying? So there's no way. Each upgrade when they go from Windows, when they went from Windows 8 to Windows 9 to Windows 10 to Windows 11, each upgrade take away just a little bit more of your privacy.
I'm an XP baby. XP was like where they should have stopped.
I know, man. But each upgrade take away, and then now I'm telling you, now they got, y'all look it up. World ID is coming. It's coming.
Go ahead, Koti
Latasha.
Oh no, I was gonna say, when y'all was talking about Semiramis, did y'all see the all women's church that's based around her, but AKA Beyonce?
Oh yeah.
And they use the Bible, but they use it for their benefit.
They call it Church of Bay.
Did y'all ever see that church? What do they call it? Church
of Bay.
Yep.
Now you know what
and
Bay.
They wear all purple. They like their colors is like purple and gold. It's crazy. And when I was watching a video of it, I'm like, I had to stop and say, like, this is real. Like they based their music around it and everything, and it was crazy.
I never seen nothing. I'm already broke up. They took my yellow dress. They have profaned the yellow dress. I can't. I'm like, why? All the colors in the world you could have chose. You chose the yellow dress.
They chose the yellow dress. Yep. And they was showing one of the women, she was speaking, like y'all said, she was speaking in tongues. And she
what happened?
Did you lose your mic?
Did your mic drop? Is it just us? Can y'all still hear Latasha?
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah.
I had to take the Wi-Fi off.
Okay.
Yeah, but they had she was standing on the stage and she prophesied, speaking in tongues, and then she came back to, as she wanted to say, she came back to the Holy Spirit, let her go, and it told her that the women is going to take over the world, and women is going to correct the world and put everything back in order. And then all the Bibles, all the Bibles are now being changed to fit and benefit the LGBTQ. Like China already rewritten their Bible.
Wow.
It's already
Not
rewritten. Like
surprised.
they already starting to print it now. So
Yeah.
it's basically for China citizens. Yes.
Wow.
Not surprised at all.
That's something else, man. It's a move. Like y'all, stay prayed up, fam. Stay prayed, and unfortunately, it's gonna get worse before it get better. It's gonna get a lot worse. It's gonna get a lot worse before it get better.
Koti Gabora, shalom. Come on up. I'm assuming that's you.
Yeah, they switch
Yes,
out
me.
her and Latasha switched at the Coty hour. I don't be know who got it.
Shalom.
Shalom.
It's me. At the same time that they're attacking the Bible, they're also attacking biological women.
Oh,
So they have this campaign going. They have this campaign going now where they want to get rid of the term biological altogether and saying that that's what we were assigned. So if we want to change, if we want to change the gender that was assigned to us, we can now do that. In that, they are now starting to call biological women cis women, which is a breakdown of assigned. So there's a
like that term.
whole campaign.
They make us
Listen,
sound like a
I,
cancer
I'm a
or something. Them cyst women, the women with cysts. They like cysts.
yes,
A cyst growing on your ovaries. That's what they is. I don't like that term.
yes. And they are literally working at right now to the point where it is literally on the being worked at for a bill right now. So it's a lot that's going on. Well, with that bill, Kimmy, that's part of that bill. It'll change things like she's saying breastfeeding to chest feeding. You know, listen, I'm telling you,
So they're taking
the
away
last I'm telling
womanhood from us. They're saying that we are not allowed to be women. We are not allowed to claim womanhood. Is that what they're saying? We can't
that's what
claim
they that's
womanhood?
what and that is the exact language that they are using. They are saying we are not the gatekeepers of womanhood. We are not the gatekeepers of womanhood is the language that's being
Wow.
used. And this bill is right now working its way through the Senate.
Yeah.
Wow.
When I'm telling you, it's just like it's been so much for me for the last couple of days. I mean, the last couple of weeks. Like I have had to like unplug and just be because I'm so sensitive right now.
Mhm.
And the things with what they're doing right now with the language, when we found that out the other day, it was like I literally just shut down these last few days. I'm like, I feel like I'm starting to live in a twilight zone. It's
I don't
like
blame you.
this
There's nothing
is
wrong with unplugging for a little bit.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
When you realize
crazy. Like
when the Most High open your eyes, you just see how deep this hole is, how deep it gets. You know what I'm saying? You just be like, I can't believe it. Like they ran one on us. They completely bamboozled.
I'm telling you, it's crazy. And like Coach Latasha was saying earlier, we were going off of numbers that we were just discussing in like the very first priesthood study video that you did.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like when we went back to just from then to now, just from then to now, how they're just like secretly erasing. I was freaking out. I was totally mind blown to the point where I'm like, okay, Coty, so to stop me from feeling like I'm crazy, can y'all go and look at these numbers that y'all have too and verify that they're not there anymore? Like,
Look at
so
the spiritual aspect of what y'all saying though. So on the surface level, this is all pro woman, right? We want to be women. We're fighting for women's rights. Women's lib was that one, and now it's this LGBTQ RSWX, whatever. All that stuff, right? It's all pro, not just women, but men who want to be like women. But if you really look at what they're doing, they're also attacking women.
They are.
And so if you look at this thing spiritually and you understand that its origin is of these entities that don't like humans at all, like they may have lusted after humans for a certain period, but they don't like humans at all. Can't stand humans. All humans could die for all they care, because why was humans ever placed even on the same level as them, let alone above them, right? That's the issue here. So it's being presented as, even with this rebellious idea of liberty, not the liberty that is spoken about in the Bible, but this liberty from Yah's laws, statutes, and commandments. This liberty that was promised by the serpent in the garden. Like, oh no, you don't have to do that. You can be over here and be like us. It was all a design to kill you and to kill us. So this free love, do what thou wilt, all of that stuff. And like you said, they running it on us, right? It's like, I got this lollipop for you, but it's laced with cyanide.
We can't
Come get it.
We can't see that we're fighting to no end.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like you think, okay, you think I'm fight. It's so much strife. So it's like what we was talking to the children about the the red horse that took peace from the earth. The red horse, when the seal was broken, he came forth and he took peace from the earth. You know what I'm saying? And so it's strife after strife after strife, and everybody is fighting, and because there's no peace. And so you're thinking like, okay, I'm fighting for the transgender movement, and when transgender get their rights, there will be peace. Then there will never be peace. There's no more peace.
No, you can't
the
have
peace has
and
been
chaos.
taken from the earth.
You can't have peace and rebellion.
Huh?
That's a broken book Tower Bible.
The seal, my belief is that seal was broken like during the Holy Wars, during that time. Because the Holy Wars, the Holy Wars was a world war. I believe that was like the first world war, because when they was fighting those wars, man, they came from the whole world was fighting. So there was a war in which the whole world, the whole known world was fighting. Then you had World War I, you had World War II, you had these world wars following then. But then men has always been unhappy. So that's why they have to have a union for this and a union for that and protesting for this, because there will never be peace until peace is being removed. Hey, Aki Joey, come on to the mic.
Hey, shalom, y'all.
Hey,
I just wanted to say that, it sounds kind of crazy, like talking about all this, but it's just so simple. Like such simple things are being like oversimplified, but honestly, it's going to get crazier, and we can't really be surprised. Like the world is supposed to be worlding, I guess. You know what I mean? Like it's prophesized like it's gonna get crazier and crazier. You know what I mean? Like this, something as simple as boy and a girl, or it's just we see it on TV. We can't really be surprised anymore. And someone said earlier that like unplugging is like, man, I already feel better. I haven't had social media in a long time. I feel like so much better without it, just because I know that my blood can't get pumping when I see like this foolishness. You know what I mean?
Yep. And unplugging is something that I know I have to do often. And it's like I was just talking to my children about it today. We attach to these black tubes. And so one of my children was asking like, when did the color of the screen change from like gray to black? You know what I'm saying? We was talking about this black matter and this antimatter and the God particle and what, you know what I'm saying? And how they're able to do things on this black matter that's so manipulative and just, you know what I'm saying, unplugging. Look, that's something I have to do often.
Here's the thing too. You have an example, you have several examples of what they are striving for in history in your Bible. And so when you begin to see, as you said, the world, right? Friend of the world is the enemy of Yah. when you begin to see the world look more and more like what they've been striving to get back to,
Mm-hmm.
and it begins to look more and more like the antediluvian period, pre-flood, or it begins to look more and more like Sodom and Gomorrah, well, everything that they're showing you, symbology in the world,
Mm-hmm.
trademark symbols and stuff like that, they're showing you who their allegiances are to,
Oh, yeah.
and what they worship and what they uplift. And therefore, I think if I understand what you're saying, I agree. We shouldn't really be surprised when
Mm-hmm.
it's being manifested, because those who are in control are pushing those agendas.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it makes sense that this world looks more and more like those who are in charge of this world want it to look like. Whereas we should be molding ourselves in the image of the world that is to come. Because when he brings, as Rhea was saying earlier, the renewed kingdom down and renews earth,
Mm-hmm.
we better be matching the image
Trying
that
to
can
tell
be that can exist
I'm
in
trying
that
to tell
kingdom.
you.
Because
Trying to tell you.
what it say, no
Fuck.
flesh shall inherit the kingdom.
Nope.
We need to be translated, we need to be renewed.
Nope. And I'll tell you something that my children did this morning that I would recommend everybody doing. They got them up on the chalkboard on the board, and they compared the sevens. So 7 feast days. They started with the 7 feast days. They wrote them up from Passover to Shabbats to the 7-day rest, right? You know that these when you put those feast days on the board, you see Messiah. You know what I'm saying? You see the Messiah. You see his body. You see our journey. You see our walk, right? And then they put up the 7 seals. And what happened when each of these seals was broke.
Mhm.
Next to the 7 feast days, and lined them up. Then they're gonna work on the bowls and the trumpets. You know what I'm saying? And you'll be amazed at what you find.
Okay.
You'll be amazed at what you find.
Family, we're gonna go ahead and start this reading.
I know. Oh my goodness. It's
No,
almost
it's a beautiful discussion. I'm gonna do the
Yeah.
same thing I did last week and probably separate that and edit it as a separate thing, because I think it's good information and a beautiful question.
Mm.
All beginning with speaking in tongues.
Yeah.
So hallelujah for that.
I love them organic conversations. Kind of organically.
Okay.
It's organic.
And today we are picking up in 1 Samuel 23.
Is it? Are we included? Okay.
Is that right? Correct me if I'm wrong, y'all. I can be off.
In my notes, I got we are on 22 now. We did 19 to
Oh, okay.
21.
So yeah, so I knew we couldn't have read about that because boy, he had all the priests killed. Saul went crazy. Saul, he couldn't keep together.
Told for that, Coach T. Kimmy and Coach T. Christine. Busy week, y'all. Forgive me. Charges to my mind, not my heart. All right. Ladies first.
Ladies first. Ladies. I got to clean up my music. Okay. All right. And Dawid went from there and escaped to the cave of Adullam. And his brothers and all his father's house heard it and went down to him there. And everyone who was in distress, everyone who was in debt, and everyone bitter in being gathered to him. Does that remind you guys of something? Yeah. Messiah, right? Okay. So he became head over them, and there were about 400 men with him. And Dawid went from there to Mizpah of Moab and said to the sovereign of Moab, "Please let my father and mother come here with you till I know what YAHUSHUA does for me." And he left them with the sovereign of Moab, and they dwelt with him all the time that Dawid was in the stronghold. And the prophet Gad said to Dawid, "Do not remain in the stronghold. Leave and go to the land of Yehuda." So Dawid left and went into the Hereth woods. And Saul heard that Dawid and the men who were with him had been discovered, while Saul was in Gibeah, sitting under a tamarisk tree in Ramah. with his spear in his hand and all his servants standing with him. Let me tell you something. Saul and that spear. That man was deadly with that spear. That dude would throw that spear and knock fire from you. But one of the things I wanted to say, does this story sound familiar? Dawid in these woods, kind of being like this Robin Hood like figure. Okay. And so let me see what I heard. Okay, and
7.
And Saul said to his servants who were standing around him, "Hear now, you Benjamites. Does the son of Jesse give every one of your fields and vineyards and make you all commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds?"
Does he give you?
Give you, right? Because Dawid was kind of like this. The poor
Like you
was
said, like the Robin Hood figure.
Robin Hood.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You wonder where they got that from. And so Paul would, I guess, be the sheriff of Nottingham.
He was the king, but yeah.
You know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But he just, he had a problem with this. He's like, he buying everybody love, but what he doing for y'all?
Yeah, you uplifting Dawid. Dawid is your Messiah figure. But he's not the one that's providing for you. Shaul saying, "I'm the one that's providing for you." So how do you turn against me for him?
How y'all still looking at him as he's some kind of hero?
King Saul had a problem.
He did. "For all of you have conspired against me, and there is no one who reveals to me that my son has made a covenant with the son of Jesse. And there is not one of you who is grieved for me or reveals to me that my son has stirred up my servant against me to lie in wait as it is this day." And Doeg the Edomite, who was set over the servants of Saul, answered and said, "I saw the son of Jesse going into Noah, to Ahimelech, son of Ahitub. And he inquired of Yahuwah for him, gave him food, and gave him the sword of Goliath, the Philistine. And the sovereign sent someone to call Ahimelech the priest, son of Ahitub, and all his father's house, and the priests who were in Nob. And they all came to the sovereign. And Saul said, "Hear now, son of Ahitub." And he answered, "Here I am, my master." And Saul said to him, "Why have you conspired against me, you and the son of Jesse, by giving him bread and the sword, and have inquired of Elohim for him to rise against me to lie in wait as it is this day?"
I love this answer.
And Ahimelech answered the sovereign and said, "And who among all your servants is so trustworthy as Dawid? Who is the sovereign's son-in-law, and has turned aside to your counsel, and is esteemed in your house? Have I today begun to inquire of Elohim for him? Far be it from me. Let not the sovereign lay case against his servant, or against any in the house of my father. For your servant knew not of all this, little or much." Remember, Dawid lied to him. Remember?
He did, but not only that, he's saying you bringing a false accusation against me. Dawid has been esteemed in your house ever since he slew Goliath. Nobody in the land, except for you and your inner court, knew that you and Dawid had beef.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't I give Dawid bread? That's your son-in-law.
Yeah.
If I wouldn't have gave Dawid bread as your son-in-law, how would I know you wouldn't have cut my head off?
Yeah, that shows something.
Yeah.
And Dawid spit the game to the priest. He was like, Saul sent us on a long journey, but he told us to stop by and get some bread.
You see,
you know what I'm saying? No, but Dawid lied to him. And and the sovereign said, "You shall certainly die." What? Ahimelech, you and all your father's house. Now, what was the prophecy about Ahimelech's house? Was he of the line?
Eli.
Oh, I keep thinking of Eli. He one of the line of Eli.
That
whole line was cursed.
Yeah.
That whole line. So I wondered though, So the sovereign then said to the guards who stood about him, "Turn and put the priests of Yahuwah to death, because their hands also is with Dawid, and because they knew when he fled and did not reveal it to me. But the servants of the sovereign would not lift their hands to come against the priests of Yahuwah." So who did it? And the sovereign said to Doeg the Edomite, "You turn to come against the priests." So Doeg the Edomite turned and came against the priests, and put to death on that day 85 men who wore a linen shoulder garment.
Mhm.
And he struck Nob, the city of the priests, with the edge of the sword, from men, even to women, from children, even to nursing infants, and oxen, and donkeys, and sheep, with the edge of the sword. And one of the sons of Ahimelech, son of Ahitub, named Abiathar, escaped and fled after Dawid. And Abiathar reported to Dawid that Saul had killed the priest of Yahuwah. And Dawid said to Abiathar, I knew that day when Doeg the Edomite was there, that he would certainly inform Saul. I am accountable for all the lives of your father's house. Remain with me, do not fear, for he who seeks my life seeks your life. But with me, you are safe. Right. Okay, real quick.
So what Red wants y'all to do, because
Yeah.
you don't just shoot guesses out
Okay.
there. What Red wants y'all to do is, if you have access to your notes on the priesthood,
Yes.
what she's asking you is
Yes.
if Abimelech is of the lineage of Eli.
Or one of those cursed priest lineage. So as far
Eli.
as back as
And so if he is of the lineage of Eli, and Doeg, Edomite priest, just slew all of his lineage except for Abiathar, who then escaped, the question is, if Doeg just fulfilled that prophecy
Right.
in part,
Right.
that Yahuwah said that none of Eli's sons would exist any longer. He was going to cut off his whole lineage. Now, I'll give you a hint, because you are onto something. I had to think about that, and I don't like to answer, especially if I know it's going on YouTube, off the top of my head, because I don't want to just shoot stuff out there without verifying.
But it's two lines of priest curse.
Mm.
Eli's, and going way back to when the split came from your roots of your priesthood studies, from the split between righteous what's the priest who named me righteous? Come on. Zadok and
we're talking about the same basic thing. So that line wasn't cursed, it was just separated. Okay. So what I was saying is Abiathar escapes. But later on, we see as Dawid is on his deathbed, he tells his son Shlomo that I made an agreement with Abiathar because of something Abiathar and his father did, but you are not bound to that agreement. And so the question is Shlomo then killing Abiathar the completion of that prophecy? That's what she's asking. And I'm just going to ask that in general for y'all on research. So go back to your notes and look at that.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay. Chapter 23. Now listen, I'm gonna just be honest with y'all. I dig into these studies, and I do these research papers and stuff like that, and I share them with y'all, whether it's on the website or stuff like that. And when I'm digging into the study, it's at the forefront of my brain. I'm digging into something different now. So when she asked that question, the reason I pause and I freeze up is because, again, we're recording. I don't want to just throw a wrong answer out there for you. I would have to literally go back to my notes, but the more we read it, it's coming back to me. But I submit to you, go look it up. If you set in on that study, go look it up and you'll see.
This is why reading from the beginning to the end is important, because you can see when Abiyah's prophecies are being fulfilled.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like the Bible ain't gonna put a highlight here, a prophecy is ready to be fulfilled.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got to know it. You got to have had, you know. And then this also teach you how Abiyah work and how you could begin to see when he moving stuff around in your life, because now you know his moves, you know him. You know what I'm saying? So you know when a certain thing happening in your life, you're like, that's the Most High. Why? Because he did it like this. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's
Yeah, check out that priesthood study if you haven't already. I know the Coates were mentioning it already, it's on a hiatus right now because of the research I'm looking into now. But Yeah, it does dig into exactly what we're reading about right here. Okay, chapter 23. And they informed Dawid, saying, see, the Philistines are fighting against Keilah, and they are plundering the threshing floors. So Dawid inquired of Yahuwah, saying, shall I go and strike these Philistines? Constant nuisance, bane of my existence. And Yahuwah said to Dawid, go and smite the Philistines and save Keilah. And Dawid's men said to him, see, we are in Yehuda and afraid. How much more then if we go to Keilah against armies of the Philistines? And Dawid inquired of Yahuwah once again. And Yahuwah answered him and said, arise and go down to Keilah. Excuse me. Arise and go down to Keilah, for I am giving the Philistines into your hands. So Dawid and his men went to Keilah and fought with the Philistines, and he led away their livestock and struck them a great smite. Thus Dawid delivered the inhabitants of Keilah. And it came to be, when Abiathar, son of Abimelech, fled to Dawid at Keilah, that he went down with a shoulder garment in his hand. And Shaul was informed that Dawid had gone to Keilah. Then Shaul said, Elohim has estranged him into my hand, for he has shut himself in by entering a town that has gates and bars. And Shaul summoned all the people to the battle to go down to Keilah to besiege Dawid and his men. And Dawid knew Shaul was plotting evil against him. And he said to Abiathar the priest, bring the shoulder garment here. And Dawid said, O Yahuwah, Elohim of Israel, your servant has heard for certain that Shaul seeks to come to Keilah to destroy the city for my sake. I want y'all to think about who's awake.
That's him. That's the whiskey.
No, I'm looking for who's awake. Well, we were just discussing earlier about Psalms 23 and how this applies even to what all of these things that Dawid was going through. It was in this instance not a cry out, but a reflection of how Yah has consistently been there to protect him, to guide him, to nurture him, to lay out anything that he needed for him because of his obedience, just like Messiah. We're looking at it as a similitude of Messiah, because of his obedience, because of his due diligence in following his word, always with him.
And then
in the presence of his enemies.
And then he told him, like, bring the shoulder garment. So you know what the shoulder garment is. That's the
priest.
Urim and the Thummim. Am I saying that right? Urim and
Close.
Thummim.
Close enough.
You know, but that's supernatural there. You know what I'm saying? So the priest got this garment on that's lighting up with, Abiyah, should I do this? It'll light up one color for yes, light up one color for no, you know what I'm saying? And so this was powerful. This was Dawid, like Paul the king, Shaul the king, don't have the shoulder garment.
So we'll visit this briefly again. So that shoulder garment she's talking about, when you read about, Moses being instructed in how they should construct this thing, it was very much in the way that you would think of a motherboard being constructed. Now, if you didn't know, all computers have gold in them. And so this shoulder garment was encased in gold, and then all of these jewels that represented each of the 12 tribes placed in that. And then on the shoulder garment, on the shoulders of each one, was what she referred to as the Urim and the Thummim. And these things harnessed electrical activity, right, so to speak, and would light up when the priest would go in prayer and seek answers from Abiyah, and one would light up for yea and one would light up for nay. So that's what she's making reference to. Some say science, some say Abiyah, but what we contend is that
real supernatural.
Yeah, supernatural, but I also submit to you that real science confirms scripture and Abiyah. Real science does. So anyway, that's where they got these ideas for a lot of these inventions, straight out of scriptures.
Straight out of the book.
Okay, so got ahead of myself there.
And Dawid knew he was fighting evil. And Dawid is 11 or 10 or 11.
11 total.
Mhm.
And the landowners of Gilead going to surrender, and are the landowners of Gilead going to surrender me into his hand? Is Shaul coming down as your servant has heard? So remember we just described to you guys, he's asking yes or no questions. Okay. O Yahuwah, Elohim of Israel, I pray, let your servant know. And Yahuwah said, he is coming down. And Dawid said, are the landowners of Gilead going to surrender me and my men into the hand of Shaul? And Yahuwah said, they are going to surrender you. Then Dawid and his men, about 600, arose and left Gilead and went wherever they could go. And Shaul was informed that Dawid had escaped from Gilead, and he ceased to go out. And Dawid remained in the wilderness, in strongholds, and remained in the hill country in the wilderness of Ziph. And Shaul sought him every day, but Elohim did not give him into his hand. And Dawid saw that Shaul had come out to seek his life while Dawid was in the wilderness of Ziph at Horesh. And Jonathan, Shaul's son, arose and went to Dawid at Horesh and strengthened his hand in Elohim. What does that mean? Strengthened his hand in Elohim.
Just to say, man, I love you. I still got your back. I be y'all with you. I know he with you. I know you meant to be the king. Like, as it's to confirm, you know how you say, like, you get confirmation on some things.
Yeah.
Like, it's I be y'all with me, and it's, and then certain stuff happened just to confirm that he with you.
Okay.
He used other people to say things and encourage you and just build you up.
That's what I'm getting at. It's like we were talking earlier about fellowship, right? And righteous fellowship should strengthen you and Yah. And so while Dawid is going through this and Jonathan's father is getting close to him, Jonathan goes to him and strengthens his hand. In other words, he offers him comfort. He offers him wise counsel. He offers him reassurance that Yah got you.
Probably pray with him, you know what I'm saying? Let's pray together,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so, and said to him, do not fear, for the hand of Shaul, my father, is not going to find you, and you are to reign over Israel. And so exactly the same thing you said. And I am to be next to you. Even my father Shaul knows that. And they made a covenant before Yahuwah, and Dawid remained at Horesh while Jonathan went to his own house. And the Ziphites, the dwellers of Ziph, came up to Shaul at Gibeah, saying, Is Dawid not hiding with us in strongholds, Horesh, in the hill of Hakilah, which is on the south of the wasteland? And now, O sovereign, by all the desire of your being, come down, and our part is to surrender him into the sovereign's hand. And Shaul said, Blessed are you of Yahuwah, for you have sympathy with me. Please go, prepare yet further, and find out and see the place where his hideout is, who has seen him there. For I am told that he is very cunning. I just want to remind y'all of the conversation we had earlier about testing the spirit against the spirit, because here we got two different parties praying to Yah to see who's going to prevail, right? And now the king is talking to the people who believe in Yah, and he's saying, yeah, Yah's with you. Yeah, go with Yah, Yah this, Yah that. And so I'm just, a lot of people use Yah's name. Don't always mean that Yah's with them or Yah's for them.
And I think that they vain reason to themselves that he with them. So Shaul, although he didn't talk to the prophet, Samuel didn't prophesied against him to his face, like, you ain't gonna make. He has somehow convinced himself that Abiyah still with him.
Yes, that evil spirit. Remember, he played with an evil spirit. Again, so just to refresh us, so we were talking about last week how, if this don't happen, Dawid don't sit on the throne. Just like if Pharaoh is not puffed up against the nation of Israel, Israel don't leave Egypt. We don't come out of Egypt a nation. So these things had to happen. Yah puts these things on people's hearts sometimes.
Scripture say Abiyah kept hardening Shaul's heart
Yeah.
because not because Abiyah just didn't like Shaul, but because Shaul messed up.
Yeah.
Abiyah said he was going to lose the kingdom,
Yeah.
and all this had to work out.
It had to happen.
And so Shaul probably would have been cool with Dawid chilling and being best friends with his son and married to his daughter, and but Abiyah said, nah,
That's not happening.
what I said gonna come to pass.
That's right.
Jealousy. Boom.
Okay. And now, O sovereign, by all the desire of your being, no, read that. 22. Torah. Please go, prepare yet further, and find out and see the place where his hideout is. Who has seen him there? For I am told that he is very cunning. So look and learn all about the hiding place where he hides, and you shall come back to me with certainty. Then I shall go with you. And it shall be, if he is in the land, that I shall search for him throughout all the clans of Yehudah. And they rose and went out to Ziph before Shaul, while Dawid and his men were in the wilderness of Maon, in the desert plain, on the south of the wasteland. And Shaul and his men went to seek him, and they informed Dawid. So he went down to the rock and remained in the wilderness of Maon. And when Shaul heard this, he pursued Dawid in the wilderness of Maon. And Shaul went on one side of the mountain, and Dawid and his men on the other side of the mountain. And Dawid was hurrying to get away from Shaul, for Shaul and his men were surrounding Dawid and his men to take them. Then a messenger came to Shaul, saying, hurry and come, for the Philistines have invaded the land. So Shaul turned back from pursuing Dawid and went against the Philistines. Therefore, they called that place Selah Hamalekoth. Selah Hamalekoth. And Dawid went up from there and remained in strongholds at En Gedi.
Shaul couldn't see, man. He was obsessed with killing Dawid. The Philistines at the gate. The Philistines at the gate. And my man chasing after Hebrew.
And Dawid was still fighting the enemies of the nation of Israel while trying to fend off Shaul, while Shaul was supposed to be dealing with the enemies of the nation.
And still taking care of the people who Shaul was letting down because he was overtaxing them and everything, was coming to Dawid. Like, so, man, this is matter and then it's antimatter.
Yep. Okay. Chapter 24.
Okay, 11. All right. And it came to be when Saul had returned from pursuing the Philistines that it was reported to him saying, see, Dawid is in the wilderness of En Gedi. And Saul took 3,000 chosen men from all Israel and went to seek Dawid and his men on the rocks of the wild goats. And he came to the sheepfolds on the way, and there was a cave. Is that a clue? Blue, is that a clue? But keep that in mind. Remember we did we ever do the sheepfold study with them?
Yeah, let us know. Can't remember.
I can't remember. But this is another scripture to support that. So anyway, and Shaul went to relieve himself.
Wild ghost, did he? Go ahead.
and Shaul went to relieve himself. Now, Dawid and his men were sitting in the sides of the cave. And the men of Dawid said to him, see, the day of which Yahuwah said to you, see, I am giving your enemy into your hand, and you shall do to him as it seems good to you. And Dawid arose and gently cut off a corner of Shaul's robe.
That's guys.
So he said to his men, far be it from me, by Yahuwah, that I should do this matter to my master, anointed of Yahuwah, to stretch out my hand against him, for he is the anointed of Yahuwah. And Dawid dispersed his servants with words and did not allow them to rise against Shaul. And Shaul rose up from their cave and went on his way. And afterward, Dawid arose and went out of the cave and called out to Shaul, saying, my master, the sovereign. And when Shaul looked behind him, Dawid bowed with his face to the earth and did obeisance. And Dawid said to Saul, Why do you listen to the words of men who say, see, Dawid seeks to do you evil? See, this day your eyes have seen it, seeing that Yahuwah gave you today into my hand in the cave, and one said to kill you. But my eye pardoned you. And I said, I do not stretch out my hand against my master, for he is the anointed of Yah. And my father see the corner of your robe in my hand. For in that I cut off the corner of your robe and did not kill you. Know and see that there is neither evil nor rebellion in my hand. And I have not sinned against you. Why are you hunting me, my life, to take it?
He's like, I'm begging you to save your life.
Like, why are you after me, man? You slept the whole night in my arms.
Yeah.
I could have slit your neck. You know?
That's really serious. It's a little bit braggadocious as well. It kind of
that was Dawid was not. They said Moses was humble, not Dawid.
No, I don't remember reading Dawid being accused of being
humble,
extra humble.
Yeah.
You know, maybe humble enough, but not really extra humble.
Yeah.
Verse 12. Let Yahuwah judge between you and me, and let Yahuwah revenge me on you, but my hand is not against you, as you can see. As the proverb of the ancients says, wrong comes from the wrongdoer, but my hand is not against you. After whom has the sovereign of Israel come out? Whom do you pursue? A dead dog? A flea? And Yahuwah shall judge and rightly rule between you and me, and see and plead my case, and rightly rule me out of your hand. And it came to be, when Dawid had ended speaking these words to Shaul, that Shaul said, is this your voice, my son, Dawid? Now he all compassionate and loving.
It's like he'll snap out of it.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
And then so but that's how I'll show you this was him.
Yes.
You know, a lot of times you be like, you know, it seemed like this land is going against me, against us as a people.
Yeah.
And every time we make 2 steps forward, they knock us 4 steps back. And a lot of time,
baby, I'm trying to tell you something.
Be the Most High.
Can't sleep at night. Yeah, I'm trying to tell you something. Anyway, yeah. And so now, you know, Shaul remember that Dawid's supposed to be like a son. Son, is that you? Is that your voice?
It's my special baby.
The one I love so much.
I know.
And so Shaul lifted up his voice and wept. And he said to Dawid, you are more righteous than I, for you have rewarded me with good, whereas I have rewarded you with evil. And you have shown today how you have done good to me. For when Yahuwah surrendered me into your hand, you did not kill me. For if a man finds his enemy, shall he let him get away safely? And let Yahuwah reward you with good for what you have done to me today. You would think it's going to be the end of that week, right?
You would think.
And now look, I know that you shall certainly reign, and that the reign of Israel shall be established in your hand. And now swear to me by Yahuwah that you do not cut off my seed after me, nor destroy my name from my father's house. And Dawid swore to Shaul, he had already sworn to Jonathan. Then Shaul went home, and Dawid and his men went up to the stronghold. Hallelujah. Yeah, this, like I say, you would think that'd be the end of the beef right there, fam. But that spirit on Dawid was insistent that Dawid had to go.
Oh, Shaul.
I mean, Shaul, totally.
It was relentless, man. Every time my man got comfortable again, it doubled back on him like, no,
Okay.
this is over for you, Israel. So it show you how a spirit can get on you to cause you to self-destruct.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Your actions, you're studying. You ever see some people and you be like, what was he thinking? It's just like he drove himself, like, his actions, your actions are reckless. Like, at what point do you stop and pray? Like, Father, God, help me because there's a spirit on me.
Okay.
And if you put the spirit on me, I'll be like, please remove what I have to do. Let me repent. Let me, when do you become concrete?
I give you another nugget. in our daily lives. You come across these people that seem to always have an issue with you. Well, Ephesians 6:12 tells us exactly what was going on with Shaul, so that we can put that in our day-to-day and understand that, as opposed to me dealing with this person the way my father would and say, you're going to be the reason I go to jail today. Maybe consider that I'm not wrestling against flesh and blood, and give that person a pass. Yeah. And then we both get to go home, right? Because I see it's a spirit on you. And that spirit, like to cause me and you both to have a problem today.
Y'all, can I tell a story? Because I've seen that in the flesh. I don't know if I told y'all this story before, but I seen that in the flesh. I'm going to tell you a little story. Me and Shlomo both worked at Applebee's.
You're gonna use me as an example.
Yes. Because that's when I really saw it. You know what I'm saying? And there was a Shlomo, this was when we first came into the truth, and we had this zeal, you know what I'm saying? We wanted, man, listen, we was telling everybody about the word. If you wanted to hear it or you didn't, we didn't care.
We felt like you're gonna get this work.
You're gonna get this work today. You know what I'm saying? We don't care. You can be like this. And we gonna like, we moving your hands out the way. You're gonna get this work today. This was before we learned about casting our pearls on swine. But anyway, Shlomo was a cook. He was, you know, in the kitchen cooking, and he was talking to one of the cooks about pork and the reason why we don't eat it.
I wasn't even talking to that individual.
So this other guy, the dishwasher, I ain't gonna say his name because, you know, you just never know who's gonna come across your video or whatever. And I want to be a stumbling block in his walk if he growing or whatever. But he was listening in, and he was like, this was a real big guy. He was from like fresh out of prison. So he really had this prison mentality, this prison built. He had them prison knuckles, you know what I'm saying? And but he was super Christian. He was like fresh.
To say something, but I don't want to have to edit it out later.
But you know, he was like you know, he felt like the church saved his life, so he was super Christian. So he was listening to Shlomo talk about pork and how it was a sin or something, and my man just lost it. Like,
Let me just to be clear, in this particular instance, I was only answering a question. Somebody asked me why I don't eat pork. Yeah. I was simply answering a question. Yeah. He come from way over there to interject into our conversation.
It was crazy because I was out front. I was a waitress. And I heard, you know what I'm saying?
Kane says the president.
I heard dude, like, you know what I'm saying? Like yelling, raising his voice. And somebody was like, Rib, he talking to Shlomo. And I'm like, oh, hell no. So I dropped whatever I was doing and I go in the back. And sure enough, you know, they into whatever. And he like, you know, you a wolf. You a wolf. You telling these people that it's a sin to eat pork. You a wolf. You know what I'm saying? We don't let wolves woo. And Shlomo was like, man, it is a sin. You know, he's like, you know, you show me in the Bible where it ain't. So they going backwards and forth. Meanwhile, I'm like, this, I done got a knife. I went back to they got these knives. And I got this big butcher knife and I slid it down in my apron. Because I'm like, this big dude, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to have to just shank him in the neck. It ain't no way around it. Just got to go in his neck. You know what I'm saying? If he even try to come in my man, right? You know what I'm saying? So I'm coming up behind him, right? And I'm trying to get Shlomo to signal, like, just, you know, just let me know, you know. And Shlomo, I don't know what came over him, but all of a sudden he just was like, he looked at dude, and I don't know at which point he realized he wasn't dealing with dude, but the spirit, but he just looked at dude and he just was like, y'all rebuke you in the name of YAHUSHUA. You know what I'm saying? He was like, y'all rebuke you in the name of YAHUSHUA. And when I tell you, like, everybody was looking at Shlomo like, and when I tell you, dude, I kid you not, dude, you know, because dude was all huffed up. He was like, you a wolf. And when I tell you, dude just deflated, he was like, blinked as if he was coming out like a trance, and like looked at us like, and went back to washing dishes. Looked at us like, what y'all look at that? And went back to washing dishes.
Yeah, that happened.
I mean, like, everybody in the kitchen was like, what the, you know what I'm saying? It was crazy. Now I'm feeling bad because I didn't think to rebuke first before I grabbed a knife. So I needed repentance. and I was questioning my walk and everything. It was bad. Like I felt like crap.
Don't feel bad, because the thoughts that was going through my head before that came out of my mouth was thoughts of defending myself against, this
them prison
fool,
knuckles. You know what I'm saying?
this fool that was running around through there. But yeah, no, that is a real thing, fam.
Man.
We see examples of it in scripture, and we know people, I'm sure y'all know people who rebuke.
Man.
That's what we're supposed to do.
Yep. And it was like he blinked as if he was coming out of like a trance. He was like, he looked around at us like, why are y'all staring at me? And then went back to washing the dishes. Like, why are they staring at me? I was talking about everybody, like everybody talked about that for a minute. They was like, dude, your husband must put some kind of spell on dude or something. I'm like, nah, that dude, there was a spirit on that dude. And when he rebuked, that spirit just fled and just left dude hanging, just left him.
How many people know what the word rebuke means? Y'all know what the word rebuke means? So the literal understanding of rebuke is technically just correction, right? Mm-hmm. And so you can offer a rebuke or correction in daily life. It don't have to be as, something as severe as, imminent threat. It could be what Hamashiach did with Keith, right? Mm-hmm. You telling me that something I know I need to do, I don't have to do. He rebuked him, told him, get behind me, Satan. He was talking to a spirit, right? He knew, he understood he was talking to an adversarial spirit. We can offer correction within our own homes. Messiah says that, or we read about the act of correcting that Messiah did and said it was love. So it is love to rebuke, right? And so it's something that I think when we hear the word rebuke, oftentimes we think to be offended. I was listening to Taekwondo instructor, Mr. Newton. He was talking to the class. He said, I have a little bit of a rebuke. He was talking to one of the students. And I thought about that, because if you don't understand what that means, you could be offended. Again, we talk about language and whether or not someone understands it. So it's just correction, right? Yeah. We can correct someone in love, and that is a rebuke, and you can cause them to be safe, even from themselves.
Yeah. Well, I was new, and the only thing I knew, man, this dude, man, looking like Mighty Joe Young in the kitchen. So y'all remember Mighty Joe? Man, listen, man, I'm like, look, this dude is not finna hurt my man. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing I knew to do was to get something to hurt.
Okay. Torah, sis, you want to post the whole definition? She posted in Hebrew is Yakah H3198. Torah for that. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
And so now, listen, y'all, this is part of growing our walks, right? Is going through these trials, these tests, these tribulations, and seeing how y'all deal. It's exactly the same thing we read about with Dawid, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to make a direct comparison with myself and Dawid, but what I'm saying is in each of our walks, yours, ours, we have these instances where Yah set something in front of us to see how we respond, and if we respond in a righteous manner. And that's how you learn to hear Yah's voice, to see how Yah is dealing with you, if he's taking care of you, if he's giving you something, if something is not for you. It's like it's in these daily examples that we learn Yah, and that we grow our walks.
And now I know how to be more patient with people, because you're not dealing with people, you're dealing with spirits.
Yeah. Well, I was good that day, but I failed many times and still do.
Nah, you good. I learned from you. You're a great leader. You know what I'm saying? Like I learned from you. You know what I mean?
That's what we're supposed to do in our household.
Yeah.
Fellas, that's what we're supposed to do in our household. Lead our household.
Because I'm telling you, a lot of times he done held me anchored a lot of times, bro.
It helped when you got good support.
I do. I try to do my best. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Okay.
family, if y'all, I mean, we rambling, but if y'all
Yeah.
want to come to the mic, you want to add anything, if y'all got questions.
Well, you know, I was excited. I didn't hear the whole story, but you know, that's what we're supposed to do.
Uh-oh,
We're
hold
supposed to shalom with Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat
Shabbat
That's what we're
shalom.
supposed to do. You know? Bring the hand, you know. Bring the cough. Bring the cough with the wall. You know, that's what you did.
Yeah.
And that's what that Hebrew word means, you know, to, you know, convince what, you know, convince, to rebuke, correct. It's the cough and a wall, you know, you know, if you brought up the barrier against whatever it is that was going on. But you know, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, spiritual wickedness. You know, the things, people in high places. You know, and so, you know, the flesh and blood, you know, we look at people or we look at things that come against us, but this is spiritual wickedness. And so, hallelujah for rising up, you know, and I like that testimony. I don't know where you were. Where were you?
Oh, we was here. We had
here.
just recently moved down south from Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Fresh from the shy. So
yeah, I still
we
had
still had
some of that in me.
Man, we still had that shy mentality. So I'm thinking
Piss and
bad.
vinegar.
You know what I'm saying? You know, think it's finna go, you know, he huffing and puffing around the kitchen.
You can't say that about a melanated individual.
Hey, that's what that dude looked like, dude. So when I came to the kitchen, I'm like, oh, don't. I just dipped off in the back, grabbed the little blade, slid into my apron, had my hand up, and I eased them back of him. I'm looking at that shit over like, give me the word, and this dude shanked. You know what I'm saying? Had he took one of them mighty paws anywhere near my man, he
can't do that. I'm gonna have to edit all.
He was catching it in that.
Akoti Colleen, where y'all at? Are y'all still over in the motherland?
Oh yeah.
Are y'all joining us from over there?
Are you African?
We are back. We're back. Okay. We're driving home now. We flew home today. We flew to Dallas today from Qatar.
Okay.
And then what is in Doha. Okay. Doha to Qatar. And so then we it was like a 24-hour flight from Kampala to Dallas.
Okay.
Wow. But we're driving home now from Dallas.
Oh, look, hallelujah. Y'all had a safe flight. Dang, praise y'all.
I pray y'all get some rest.
And all praise to the Most High.
Dang.
What you say, Rhea?
I said, I pray y'all get some rest. I know y'all tired of 24-hour flight.
I can only imagine.
Well, no, you know, we rest a lot, you know, watched a lot of movies, but slept a lot. So it's not so bad.
How was it over there? What was it like being in the motherland? But that wasn't your first time, was it?
It was my first time. It wasn't Speed's first time, though.
Oh, okay.
It was me and me and Miles's first time. But it's just plenty. It's a lot of fruit. It continues to bear fruit. The weather is amazing. Yeah. Didn't get over 80.
Wow.
You know, it's just
well, welcome home is 100 here.
I know. It's just you can just see. I thought about you the whole time when I was looking at the land. I said, "Oh my goodness, you can grow anything." I'm telling you, I can just see your house.
Oh man,
it was so. I mean, fruit trees for days.
We're trying to be like y'all.
People yard jackfruit.
Travel over there for a little bit.
Papaya, you know, every kind of fruit, soursop, every fruit that you ever can imagine. Marijuana,
I've heard a lot of good things about that soursop.
Mm-hmm. They just growing everything. And the woman talking about, but the marijuana tea is really good for my bones.
Oh, you did say marijuana. Okay, I see. Did she say marijuana? I'm sitting here asking myself, did she say marijuana? No, she said marijuana. Okay,
she just growing it like it's just nothing. I was like, what? You growing marijuana? She said, yes, I use it for my tea. I said, oh my. And then her daughter said, Mom, I didn't know you were drinking marijuana.
Yeah, you better watch
But she growing everything you can imagine. I know.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a whole different life.
I bet. I want to go. I want to go visit. I do. I want to go. I want to take.
I want you to. I really.
real quick,
I
where
can
all did
see.
y'all visit again while you were there?
Okay, so we went to we flew into Qatar.
Okay.
It was Doha, Qatar, and it's kind of like in the Middle East, not
Yeah.
too far from Dubai, I think. And then that took 5 hours. It was 13 hours to get there, and then from there we flew to Kampala, Uganda. Entebbe. I'm sorry, Entebbe.
Okay.
And Entebbe is about an hour, about 30 minutes away from Kampala.
Okay.
And so Kampala is where our hotel was. So we stayed in Kampala, and Kampala is one of the biggest. It is the biggest city in Uganda, and then Jinja is the second largest city in Uganda, and also it is the largest forest in Uganda completely.
Okay.
And the Nile River flows through there.
Yeah.
So starts there, and so we rode on the Nile in a boat.
Wow,
That's what we saw. That was the Nile you guys were on.
Ah, that's nice.
Yeah, that was the Nile. But I have so many pictures for you, and it's just I don't know. I just want everybody on this phone call, everybody that I know that I talk to, I want y'all to go. It's because I'm telling you, it's if you can get there, man, you can live on the dollar.
So, and I'm not gonna get too much into this, but I'm just curious since y'all were just there, because if you were in Uganda, you were right on the Nile, you were close to Lake Victoria. You guys were pretty high up in elevation.
Yeah, we went to Lake Victoria.
Okay.
What's
that?
that?
Was pretty high up?
Say it again.
That elevation is pretty high there in that area, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Oh yeah.
In the mountains? That's what I thought. That's what I've been looking at in my research.
Mountain. It has everything. It has mountain, hills, rivers, valleys, mountains. It has everything that the scriptures say that when the land was going to be fruitful, the things that we're going to have, it's all there.
Sold out for sharing.
It is there.
Yeah. Oh
I'm telling you, it's confirmed. It is there. In the weather, you don't have to wear no hat on your head. You can. Some people I wore long sleeves the whole time.
Really?
Miles wore long sleeves, and I was not hot. Yes, it was like it doesn't. The seasons are the seasons is that it's dry season and it's rainy season. Those are the two seasons that they have. But other than far as winter, summer, winter and fall, it's not like that. It's consistent all year long.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, welcome home. It's gonna be 100 every day this week.
100 plus.
Girl, this ain't my home. I don't know what you're talking
I
about.
know. Well, welcome back. I hear you. Welcome back. It's gonna be 100 plus all week.
I know, but I said, Mama, you said to be back in America. I said, yes, I am, but it's okay. We're gonna make it work, man.
Oh no.
We gotta do what y'all
for the time being until it's time. Till y'all come on home. Anybody else?
We got a chance to seek out the land.
See who?
I said we got a chance to seek out the land, though. That was the big part.
Yeah.
And I got a chance to tell the people who look. Look anybody that I talked to. I was like, "Are you Bantu? Are you Bugandan? And do you know?" Yes. And then they would tell me like Bantu, Bugandans, and then we would have our little conversations. But it was interesting to know the different. There's one called Butora. So I did my little research before I went, but it was very interesting having a conversation with the people from the east of the land. So I said I would like to just go to all of the cities in the east. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Anybody else want to come to the mic before we go get our grub on? Get meal. I know y'all already ate.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Ready.
While I wait on the coach to come up,
I know.
Thank everybody for joining us. Is that you? There you go. Come on.
This me. I just had one thing to say, and that's it. I swear, I'm done. Did y'all see the video that I sent with the Buddha
Yeah,
burning on
girl.
fire?
Yes, you gave me a good chuckle this morning.
I said, oh my goodness. And I was reading, like me, I was watching it last night and we was reading it. And then, because we was reading about with Abraham when he knocked in all the statues and he was like telling his father, like, no, the king statue did it. And I was telling him, and Tyler was like, well, how did it catch fire if they just put in this new system with this fire proof thing? And I was like, well, they said that the trees, it was lightning and the trees caught fire, and that's how the statue caught fire. Like that's how the temple and the Buddha caught fire from the trees. Yeah. Outside.
So all those surrounding temples is what like burned down, because like it sit on, like the Buddha sit on top of like all them temples that kind of surround it.
On top.
Yeah.
Yes.
I always think of in scripture where it tells us to knock down these high places, these ashram trees, and all these places of worship where Israel kept getting in trouble for going to worship the gods instead of worshiping the Most High Yah. And even here in the South, so even here where we're at, they got one church right on Texas Street. It's the biggest thing in the area. It's got the tallest steeple, and like 3 different times in the last 20 years, this steeple gets struck by lightning and knocked off, and they keep putting it back up. And then somebody else was talking about this other church where they struck this church. It destroyed the whole steeple of the church, and they were saying that the way they were talking about it was if it was the adversary. Well, it was the adversary, but as if it was the adversary, and they had to get it back up because it was in defiance of the Lord. Yeah,
I don't know,
like,
but I don't know. I don't know what some of these folks be doing in these buildings, but some of these buildings be catching on fire. I'm just like, what are you doing in there? You know what I'm saying? What are you doing there? Huh?
They be on fire, they be flooding and everything. I remember when I was younger, they put me in like a circle and they was like I said, they were speaking tongues and praying over me and stuff like that because they said I was rebellious. And I used to just stand there and just like watch them and look at them. And I remember one of the mothers of the church, she was like, you don't feel anything? I was like, no. And she just asked me, she was like, you don't? I was like, no. And I was like, something is wrong with y'all people. Y'all crazy. I'm not coming back here no more. And my grandma, I'm not going to make me come back. I'll take a beating every weekend before I come back here. And I took a beating every weekend before I went back there. I wasn't going back because them people was crazy. I said, grandma, they talking about voodoo. They keep talking in the language I don't understand. They probably cursing me and telling me that I'm going to die at a young age. I don't know people. I did. And I don't care. I got to be in every weekend until I was old enough to not go. I did not, because it's just crazy. Like y'all said, you don't know what be going on in them churches. And they just felt like, because I didn't want to conform to them, I was being rebellious. And I just couldn't understand it or get it because I didn't get it. At a young age, I just didn't understand why they was doing certain things in the church. And I was like, this not right. And everybody in here going to hell. I don't want to be here.
Yeah, I think like Coach Kimmy was saying, it's Shabbat Shalom, family. Welcome. We pray y'all join us again. It was a pleasure having you.
It was nice having y'all.
And we finna close out too, y'all. But I think that like Kimmy was saying is ritualistic in nature, and I think that the initiated understand it. They know exactly what they're doing. It's just the uninitiated who are the cattle, so to speak, in that situation, the sacrifice, the catechumen, in those situations. Okay. Love y'all, family.
Love y'all.
We'll see y'all
next time.
Shabbat Shalom, fam.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom, y'all.
Y'all have a blessed week.
Shabbat
Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom, family.
Shalom.
I say yes. I'm too blessed to be stressed. Nevertheless, I must confess. Yes, this is Project Wake Up Jacob. On the Sabbath we rest and reflect upon his goodness.